And we're live.
Hey everyone, welcome to Hack Shack Studios. Hi, I'm Art Thibert. I am a comic book artist, working professional for over 30 years. I gotta figure that out. 30 years, it's probably been like 35 years, but um, I've worked on uh, Spider-Man, Batman, Superman, Fantastic Four, X-Men, pretty much everything. Currently working on Super Sons, and I want to take a moment to introduce you to Taylor.
Hi, everyone. I'm Taylor, or Tag. I'll be reading your chat today.
So we also want to do like a Q&A. So if you guys have any questions or whatever, maybe later um, we can start getting into some of that stuff. So feel free to ask questions, get questions ready. We want this to be as interactive as possible, so you guys can be part of the program. And so we have that. Big news last night. Doug TenNapel and his launch, his Indiegogo launch of Bigfoot Bill, and I think they're at 20,423. So you guys
Wow.
are amazing. Yeah, that's for. I don't even think it's been up a day yet. So that's in less than a day. Oh, I forgot to ask. What are you working on, Taylor?
I am working on Adventures of Super Sons, Issue 3, page 11. What are you working on, Art?
I'm working on Adventures of Super Sons 3, page 12.
See, you
So,
guys, this is your chance to ask a question of not only a 30-year vet, but someone who's actively working every single day.
and working right this very minute. Yeah, so we got that. And I know I probably always say that I'm working on Superboy's cape, but there's a lot of capes in this stuff. So, yeah, I'm inking up some Superboy cape right now. This stuff is really coming along. The first issue's out right now, and it looks tremendous. The writing, the penciling, inking, coloring, it's all coming together as planned.
It's a very cool book.
Yeah, it really is, and I think it's getting some good reviews and some good word of mouth. So if you haven't checked it out, you should get out there. And also, if you haven't pledged for Bigfoot Bill, get out there and pledge. What did we find, Taylor, when we were typing in Bigfoot Bill? What was that?
Yeah, when you search Bigfoot Bill, at least when we searched Bigfoot Bill, apparently there was a real person named Bigfoot Bill who was a Texas Ranger in 1840.
And apparently a major badass, if I can say that. Yeah. So I'm not sure. I don't think Doug's is based on that guy, but it's just a weird coincidence.
That would be cool though.
Yeah. Yeah. The designs are really nice. That Doug came up with. It's a pretty cool, well designed book, and I wish him all the luck. And not that he's going to need it. That guy always does well with all of his books, his cartoons, his video games, everything he does. He's got the Midas touch, as they say.
Ooh.
And if you're not familiar with Midas, look it up. That guy had the golden touch.
The people have spoken and they want Bigfoot Bill.
Who doesn't? I got to get off my keister and give Doug some of my money.
Yeah, I'm gonna do the same for sure. I want my
Yeah.
copy.
So yeah, we have that, and Taylor and I were just talking, and we thought it might make a fun show. Taylor is probably one of the coolest people
Oh,
I've ever
stop.
met, and um, I don't know. Anything I say is going to sound derogatory, but she's kind of like a guy, and I mean that in the best of ways. But I don't mean it in any way that's like slamming that she's obviously a woman. Um, but she had guy experiences when she was a kid, so we were just sharing stories about forts and and tree houses and hangouts and stuff that we built as kids. And so she has similar experiences as I did growing up, where we built forts and like I built one that was called like it was called the Justice League, and we had our own like little tree house and had the Justice League logo painted on one of the walls, and we dress like superheroes and do like our little supering around the neighborhood. So yeah, we have our experiences. So we thought we'd share ours with you, and if you guys have any, type them in and let us know too. So let's start with some of Taylor's, because I have many forts that I had built. So my story will probably go on a little longer, but go ahead, Taylor.
Yeah, from what I've heard, Art was the fort master. He had the happening treehouse in the neighborhood. If you guys built any cool stuff like that, definitely tell us your story. But mine are probably less exciting because I lived in a neighborhood where I didn't have a treehouse. Like all of Art's stories about the treehouse thrill me because that's exactly what I would have wanted as a kid. But I was like a major tomboy as a kid, and I had like a little tomboy friend that I would hang out with in the neighborhood, and we would build stuff and destroy stuff on the regular. And I was this is this might make me look like I was a little shit, but we had these neighbor kids that would come and visit, and they didn't live in the neighborhood. They were their grandparents lived in the neighborhood, so they weren't there all the time, but they were super bossy. And or I guess now you'd say that they were like they had good leadership skills, but they were super bossy and we couldn't stand them. And they couldn't go across the street. That was like their grandparents' rule, and we could. So one day we basically got into like turf warfare with them, and my neighbors across the street had pomegranates and oranges, and I don't know how it got to this, but me and my little like tomboy friend Jennifer were throwing oranges and pomegranates at them, and it got super intense. But they couldn't cross the street, so they were just like throwing stuff at us, and we were little girls, so our throwing skills were really bad.
I
So
would have
like,
loved to see that. That'd have
yes,
been hilarious.
we had to get up close to nail them with that. And I had never like seen a pomegranate, so I didn't realize the juice stains like horribly. And it stained that whole like driveway from it just like crushing
It's
everywhere.
like blood. There was blood in that battle.
It was a bloody warfare.
Who drew first blood?
I think we did probably, to be fair.
I thought this was a turf war over like a fort or like so what was the battle over?
I don't remember what started it, but we used to hang out my friend Jennifer's garage all the time. And I think it might have actually like started over that because we wanted them to leave the garage and they wouldn't because they were like I said, they're super bossy, but they were also really domineering. So they were just, if you told them to leave, they wouldn't leave. They're just like, we're going to tell our grandparents on you. So we took matters into our own hands at that point.
Wasn't there a clubhouse that you guys dismantled or something? I thought there was a clubhouse story.
There was a club. Oh, that's true. This story also makes me look like a little shit, but we didn't have like a tree house or anything. I had like a little clubhouse in my backyard when I was really little, but this was like by the time I was like 9 or 10, I had already outgrown it. So there was some like neighborhood boys that they had built a clubhouse in this like vacant field, and we went over there to play in it. And I don't know like what it was, but like I guess because it wasn't ours, we didn't have the same care for it. Like I had watched them build it, like they carried stuff over to build it, and it was either jealousy or like just like manic destructive child energy. But we like tore that clubhouse apart, like we were like tearing walls off, and like I have the distinct memory of my friend Jennifer, who I never reconnected with really. Like, I don't know what she's up to now, if she's still a Hellraiser, but I just remember her like jumping and like karate kicking the door down. And we tore that thing apart. And then, like, sadly, like, we were still there because it was just like destroyed on the ground. One of the little boys came like over and like he stared at the wreckage and he stared at us. Like there were no words exchanged, and he just kept looking back and forth, like, why? Like, why did you guys do this?
Why did you do that?
And I don't have an answer for why.
uh,
So now you have to tell a story of creation rather than destruction.
well, we had our share of both, of creation and destruction, but my first foray was a lemon tree in the backyard, and I don't know if you guys know, but lemon trees they have thorns on the branches, and they're kind of like bougainvillea. They're like little nails. They're not quite as long and as harsh as like bougainvillea, but for little kids climbing up in trees and stuff, it was pretty crazy. And so I'd climb up there with a hammer and just like smash those things down so I could climb in there and not cut my hands up. And so
Industrious.
I think I just started bringing up boards with me, when I would do that over time, because I just like, like every kid, we like to climb trees. And so I think I brought boards up so I could sit up there. And so then I nailed the boards, and then the boards ended up becoming a floor, and then so on and so on. And before I knew it, I had a little tree house. And so I would get my comic books and I would bring them up there and read. And I don't know why, for some reason, I needed a cool place to read my comics, because I never I read them obviously in my house and in my bedroom and stuff, but I always felt like I needed a place. And so I built that, and it was good for a while. And then there's this kid that moved in across the street, and their house was being built. So there was like wood supplies and like nails and stuff like that. And he was older than me. His name was Bob, and he was a little bit more ambitious than me. And before we knew it, we had built, instead of like building a clubhouse from the ground up to the tree, we had built it the opposite. We built the tree house to the ground. So it was like we built a two-story like clubhouse that went up into the tree. So, and it was all encompassing. So the tree house was like you could get to the tree house part from the actual clubhouse part. And so we eventually found carpeting and all kinds of stuff so we could spend more time in there. And I did make the mistake of like a child and thinking that, somehow comic books would be safe in my clubhouse, but there's moisture and stuff like that. Obviously it's not, there's no insulation or anything, and we weren't, engineers or real builders. So my comic books kind of suffered from the moisture and things like that. So I didn't keep them out there after that, but would always bring them out there. And sometimes we'd spend the night out there and we'd read comics by flashlight. God, this makes me sound like I'm an old man, but
No, it's
it
so
it
cool.
was freaking so cool. And I just remember, this was a sad moment. I always loved Batman. And so it was like the Batman 66 show was out. And my dad drew when I was growing up. And he drew, because he knew I liked Batman. So he drew like a Batman and Robin running, it was probably like right from that intro when they're running straight forward. And I think it was that image, or it was something like that. And he drew it up, and we never had money. So he drew it on the back of like a pretty good sized piece of cardboard, just cardboard, like brown cardboard. And then I must have fallen in love with it. And my mom always did craft things. And so my mom, like, she painted it up. She painted it. And I just remember, like, like just going, this clubhouse needs decorations. It needs posters. It needs stuff. And we were always poor, so we didn't, and there wasn't a lot of stuff. Like, there wasn't like, oh, you can go to the store and get a poster. Like, there's a lot of things now that you can buy, but in the late 60s or whenever this was, early 70s, there wasn't a lot of stuff. And so yeah, so I put that up on the wall, and then there was like